Hey yo guys, this is going to be a quick little video here. It's going to be about a MMA review for a show that took place last night from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. It would be the very first on television score fighting championship show. It took place from, like I said, Hamilton, Ontario, and was the first one that the score has done on the network live, which is, I think, really, really exciting. Something I really can't wait for them to do more of, because I think, live MMA is really good, and especially the score, which is, they branded as home of the hardcore, and they probably, in my opinion, do the best national coverage of the sport for mixed martial arts. I mean, they had, the play-by-play was done by Pride and, Strike Force, Elite XC, former Elite XC announcer, Mauro Ranallo, along with former mixed martial artist and now analyst on the Fight Network and the Score, Robin Black. And I've met Robin Black a couple of times, and Robin Black's one of the nicest guys in all of MMA. But this was, to me, I think, a really crucial show for the Score Fighting series, to see what it looked like live on television, and I think it came off pretty well. Obviously, I don't think it went off as well as maybe they liked, but hey, I mean, it's what happens when, you have certain guys and styles make fights, and it'll be really interesting to see what you guys think of this review, and especially for you, guys that'll view this from the States, because the Score Fighting series will be now available on Access TV, the former HDNet, come, I believe, October. So their next show, which is in Sarnia, that show will be live on Access TV and the Score. This video will also be the first one that I'm doing for Nux.com. It's a MMA website, MMA and boxing website, which branches out in parts of local areas. They have a bunch of in the U.S. I believe there's a couple in Arizona, New Mexico, stuff like that. And it's more so for local fights, which is, I think, really, really important. There's so much coming up. They have two events really promoted that I think that, they're trying to get people to go to, and hopefully we can get some press credentials. I'm doing some video stuff for them. This is one of them, and maybe behind the camera stuff. More so with the local boxing scene, which I haven't really caught myself up with. I know there's a show at the Hershey Center on the 8th of September, and then I think the next weekend there's a show in Guelph, which looks like could be really, really fun. So I think it's a really good opportunity for me, and I really like this website and the whole idea, so I'm happy to bring the MMA content here. But we've dallied a little bit into the whole, what this is about, what the stuff's going on with the Score. I guess maybe lastly, it was a big exciting day. I mean, this was the first show for the Score fighting series on the Score, and as well, I mean, the Score Network got bought by Rogers, which I think is a good move for them, but who knows, we'll see what happens with it. Unfortunately, the sad thing is maybe job losses for the network, which is never ever a good thing. Alright, but so this show, by the way, was also streamed. The undercard was streamed on their the Score website, and I didn't get a chance to check it out, but it looks like a really, really good one. Only one decision and lots of finishes, which is what you always want to see. So the first fight of the night that was available on the Score was Kyle Preplak and Jason Meza. This was I think this is the perfect fight to start the night off. It was, pretty action-packed. It got a little back and forth to start things going on there. Really, I thought the first round was very close. I gave it to Preplak. It was a good back and forth round, like I said. Not too much major to really say about, the first round, but the second round was really more the story, because in that round, Preplak got absolutely destroyed with a kick right into the nads. But you almost thought that the referee, I think the ref for this one was Dan Mergliotta. I thought he was going to potentially maybe stop the fight, just because, I mean, normally when you get a good low blow, you're down there for maybe 2 minutes, but, you tough it out and get right back in there. I mean, Preplak was down there for a good 10 minutes, it seemed like, which, sucks, because this is, your first fight on your television network, and he couldn't get up, and there was all this dead air. So that was the one issue that happened that you had to do. But I think Morrow and Robin Black did a great job of filling the air time. And then basically once the fight got going again, it looked like Meza was gonna finish this thing. And he had Prepelic down, and he looked like he go for some ground and pound, but Prepelic basically transitioned from being off his back into a triangle choke and got the submission at 2:58 of the second round, and in what was a pretty exciting affair. I mean, I always have this theory: if you bag someone really, really hard, that's going to motivate them more so to get the finish and get a victory, and that's kind of what happened here for Prepelic. He looked like he was hurting too. Right after he got the victory, he was celebrating, and as he celebrates, he went right down because I guess his coach picked him up, and it just was a little too soon for his area below the equator. Now, the next fight that we had on this show was Elias Theodore against Semia Marini, and this was a middleweight bout, and it started off really good. The thing I actually liked about this fight was the fact how Semia Marini came out to Shawn Michaels' theme music. They did a nice little video package beforehand, but then after that, basically, what it had, I heard the Shawn Michaels music, and I was just more into this fight than ever. And it was kind of interesting because, Elias Theodore was the one that's kind of billed himself as the sexy boy, basically in this promo saying how, good looking is and the girls love him, da-da-da-da. But this fight, it wasn't too much to it. It was a lot of stalling and clinching against the cage. And there were moments in this fight where you were wondering if Marini was just going to capitalize. It looked like he would connect on some good shots on Theodore, but he never capitalized fully, and that to me is not a good thing. You always want to capitalize on, when you have a guy potentially hurt or what have you. So, maybe Marini was tired. I mean, he looked really exhausted, but Theodore did enough to control all the rounds, and he got the decision victory. And then he went to, in his interview, he went on and plugged all his sponsorships, but he would always start it off with, I forget what this one's called, so I don't know how a sponsorships company feel about that, but, a nice win there for Elias Theodoro, and he moves on somewhere in the middleweight division, and maybe we'll see him on the next Score show in Sarnia, who knows, but maybe not the best fight on this show, probably actually was the worst fight on this show, but it was more just a conditioning issue for Marini, and I think he understands that and will probably fix things up going into his next bout. The next fight we had was Rick Glenn taking on Tristan Johnson. Tristan Johnson's like one of these real good, strong prospects out of here in Canada, and I personally thought, not knowing too much about Rick Glenn, that Johnson was just going to get in there and steamroll him. But Glenn had in his corner a Bellator welterweight champion, Ben Askren, which is always an advantage. He trains with Duke Rufus, so right then and there, my pendulum for who I thought was going to win had swung to a little towards Rick Glenn. And Glenn did what, he needed to do. He really dictated this fight. Put him on the ground. He did a very interesting kick that I believe we'd only seen Anthony Pettis do in Pettis' debut in the WEC, which was very nice to see. And then once the fight hit the second round, Glenn really put it on. I mean, he had a nice flurry. There were some nice ground and pounds to basically get the finish there. And it was a perfect time for the stop by referee Yves Levine. Rick Glenn looked super, super impressive here. Putting away a real top prospect here in Canada, and that's Tristan Johnson's only his third loss of his professional career. So, going back to the drawing board a little bit, maybe, we're still working on that takedown defense and stuff of that nature. But I mean, Glenn hits hard, and when you have a world-class wrestler in your corner and you train with every day, that's going to be always to your advantage. And Glenn used that, and basically that's what led to his ground and pound victory. And then I believe at this point we were probably going to have another bout between I think it was Alex Ricci and David Tarzan Douglas, who you may remember from the show Extreme shows back in 2008, the miniature version of the Elite XC shows. But he was a really interesting fighter, but he missed weight, so they scrapped the entire show, or the entire fight for him. So we went to our next fight, which was Alex Ricci. It was Alex Ricci. There was the other Ricci, Mike Ricci. I think he was the one that was supposed to be fighting David Douglas, but that didn't happen. But Jesse Ronson and Alex Ricci had the fight here, and Ricci as well missed weight in his own way. But this was definitely the best fight on the show, if you don't mind me saying. The body snatcher, Jesse Ronson, he absolutely obliterated Ricci on the feet in the first round. He dropped him twice. Easily a 10-8, and when they asked Robin Black what he thought the scorecard would be, he said 10-9, and I was just absolutely stunned that they thought that, because when you rock a man the way he rocked him and dropped him twice, and you're going to score that 10-9, that's just not good judging, if you don't mind me saying. But Ronson definitely was in control, and you could see that the fact that Ricci had missed weight really hurt him, and his cardio was lacking, especially in the final minutes of the third round, where a guy that's 5-0 was trying to be 6-0 here, normally can pour it on and make it come back. And there were moments towards the end of the fight where it looked like maybe because Ronson had not put away Alex Ricci, that it was going to be not to Ronson's advantage from that. But Ricci made it seem close, but Ronson obviously to me did enough to win a unanimous decision, which I think is the right call by all the judges on everyone's scorecard. And Jesse Ronson looked really, really good, showcasing his power and his ability to fight off of his back and on the ground. I thought Ricci did a good job of still pushing the pace even though he was losing and stuff like that. But after the fight, Jesse Ronson called out the newest acquisition for the Score Fighting series, the Polish hammer Chris Horodecki, who I'm still stunned is not in Bellator or even the UFC or anything like that. But he's with the Score now, and I think it'll be a good fight come the next show if they put Jesse Ronson and Chris Horodecki together. And then the main event, which was to see, basically who's the best bantamweight here in Canada. And basically the winner of this fight was potentially going to get a phone call from the UFC and Joe Silva, moving on, because these guys were some of the best bantamweights in the world. Josh Hill took on John Frazier. Now, an interesting thing of note, Josh Hill's nickname is the Gentleman Josh Hill because his grandfather was the Gentleman Jerry Valiant from the famous Valiant Brother tag team in the WWF, which is, of course, if you're wrestling fans out there, Vince McMahon's favorite tag team. So I thought that was really, really cool, actually. But Josh Hill was definitely no gentleman in there to John Frazier. Absolutely, the whole fight basically consisted of Hill getting a takedown and just controlling Frazier and keeping him on his back, and just grinding out a decision. Maybe not the most impressive way to get a step up to the UFC, but I think you cannot deny the man with a strong record like he has going into the UFC. I mean, the bantamweight division in the UFC is just, it's super talented, but I don't think there's enough depth. And adding someone like Josh Hill, I think, really, really adds that depth that they really need for, really, let's be real, a division that's 2 years old in the UFC that a lot of the casual fans are not totally used to seeing yet. But I really, really did enjoy this show. There was and then they, of course, because they follow the UFC trend here, does the Score Fighting series, they give, KO the night, sub of the night, and fight of the night. Fight of the night was Jesse Ronson and Alex Ricci, like I said, and the Kyle Prepolek triangle choke on Jason Meisel, which was the first fight on the Score show, and I already broke that fight down. Now, the KO of the night was on the undercard, and I did not get to see it, but Ryan Dixon had a TKO over Chris St. John, and on the website, Nux.com, or Nux.ca, or I believe it's Nux.com, there's an interview with Ryan Dixon. So, all in all, I thought this was a pretty good event. I can't wait to see how it comes off once the next show happens on the Score and on Axis, so more fans can see it and maybe give their thoughts on the product. But all in all, a good night of MMA, and especially because it was a good time to have it too, because there was no UFC or Strikeforce or anything major in the world of sports. So good decision to have the show when they had it. But really, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.